Captivating that taking our eyes off the action isn't Disney movies are so captivating that taking our eyes off the action isn't an easy thing to do. But if you love Easter eggs as much as we do, you probably make it a point to surf the background for some clues. We've got 10 of the most discreet pause Disney moments lined up for you. And if you're an Incredibles fan, you're gonna want to stick around until the end.
This is a hobo suit, darling. You can't be seen in this. I want the
most discreet pause Disney moments lined up for you. And if you're an Incredibles fan, you're gonna want to stick around until the end.
This is a hobo suit, darling. You can't be seen in this. I won't allow it.
Hercules and the Scarred Carpet. Man, you're gonna want to stick around until the end.
This is a hobo suit, darling. You won't allow it.
Hercules and the Scarred Carpet. Disney Easter eggs can flash across the screen without a moment's notice, which is why keeping your eyes peeled can help you spot them out. Hercules is a Disney classic that many of us can't. Which is why keeping your eyes peeled can help. Hercules is a Disney classic that many of us can't get enough of. It's jam-packed with catchy songs and lovable characters, so what's not to like? In fact, even Hades doesn't seem to be that bad of a guy. That is, unless you want him to hold Meg's sentence and Hercules' childhood against him. Hades might be the movie's big bad, but he isn't the only villain we get to see flash across the screen. As a matter of fact, the Lion King, Scar, gets some screen time that's too juicy to ignore. After shedding his clumsy ways, Hercules becomes his village's hero, which turns him into a pretty big deal. But soon enough, Hercules realizes that fame isn't what it's cracked out to be. So he confides in Phil while wearing the lion skin
subscribe
on his
button.
shoulders. Once you
Well,
pause
she
the
did.
scene, you clearly see Scar's pelt being paraded around by the hero. Hercules throws Scar at Phil's feet, and in a way, this scene brings a strange sense of justice to Mufasa's murder. Toy Story and the Binford Toolbox. If there's one animated film that took the world by storm, it's Toy Story. This movie is filled with Easter eggs that many of us already know of, but there's one that's managed to slip through the cracks. Despite becoming best buds by the end of the film, Woody and Buzz bump heads when they first meet. Their feud starts when Woody begins to feel threatened by Andy's newest toy and chooses to act out of jealousy. Before long, Woody's
Alright guys, let's see what we're making here today. Oh, a 6th grade girl. Is it annoying?
actions cause them to get kidnapped by Sid, who's basically the worst toy owner in the universe. To secure his latest catch, Sid traps Woody under a milk crate and places a heavy toolbox on top of it. During this scene, we come face to face with a hilarious Easter egg that many of us wouldn't think twice about. However, if you've ever watched the 90s sitcom Home Improvement, this scene probably stuck out to you like a sore thumb. As many of you know, Tim Allen is the actor behind Buzz Lightyear's voice, and he also played the leading man in Home Improvement. So it's no big surprise that Disney chose to label Sid's toolbox with the Binford brand, which is a popular tool manufacturer used by Tim's character in the show. It's hard to catch the Binford logo if you don't pause the film at the perfect moment.
Buzz, I would love to see you try.
The Beauty and the Beast signpost. Disney animators love to throw in a handful of inside jokes when working on a film, so we're not surprised that Beauty and the Beast has some hidden gems in it that few people can spot out. During one of the first scenes of the movie, Belle's father, Maurice, announces that he'll be going on a trip, but despite following a familiar route, he gets lost along the way. Maurice and his horse come across a signpost with faded writing on it, and after a quick glance, they choose to follow the darker path. Since The Beauty and the Beast is supposed to take place in France, many of us didn't think twice about the cities displayed on the signpost. However, once this scene is paused, we see that Disney animators took this opportunity to lay an Easter egg. Although the writing is hard to read, the words Anaheim and Valencia can easily be spotted on the sign. And funny enough, these are where the famous Disneyland resorts can be found. On a side note, many Disney animators received their arts and entertainment degree at Valencia College, which is why the word Valencia is often strategically placed throughout the Disney franchise. A Bug's Life and the Traveling Circus. At first glance, you wouldn't think that Dumbo and A Bug's Life had anything in common, but this couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, there's a major Dumbo reference in A Bug's Life that most people have trouble spotting out without pausing the film. Dumbo might have come out 5 decades before A Bug's Life did, but that didn't stop creators from drawing inspiration from the old classic. In A Bug's Life, we're introduced to P.T. Fleet and his gang of traveling circus bugs. Problem is, the ringmaster has little to no credibility, which is is why he tends to cheat his customers out of money. But despite being a villain at first, PT chooses to do the right thing and helps the ants defeat Hopper. Once the evil grasshopper is no longer a threat, PT and his circus bugs pack up their belongings and hit the road. The bugs board their train and take off with lighter hearts, but not before flashing their train's logo for all to see. PT's traveling train has the words Casey Jr. Cookies, which is a direct reference to the train that's used to transport Dumbo and his friends. So despite the many decades that separate these films, they're tied together by this low-key yet effective reference.
So, being a ladybug automatically makes me a girl. Is that it, Flyboy?
Finding Dory and Riley. Some Disney movies have more Easter eggs than others, and Finding Dory is one of them. Fans have spotted a handful of these while watching the hilarious film, but some are harder to catch than others. During the aquarium scene, we see Dory swimming up to a window of children, and although this scene doesn't seem to be out of the ordinary, there's an Inside Out character hiding in the background. Can you guys spot her out in the crowd? A wide-eyed Riley is looking into the aquarium as Dory swims up to the glass. This cameo is hard to catch since the Inside Out character only appears for a split second. As many of you know, Riley and her family moved to San Francisco, which is where Dory was taken during the film. So funny enough, these two characters came inches away from each other without ever knowing it. Another Easter egg that's worth mentioning.
Oh, stupid commercial.
Oh, a 6th grade girl. Is it annoying?
Is the one that appears in the background during the scene where Hank is holding Dory in a plastic cup. If you pause this shot, you'll see a Wally calendar nailed onto the lower right corner of the screen. Stick around to find out which other Finding Dory Easter egg defies the laws of logic. Inside Out and the Birds on the Wire. Inside Out is a brilliant movie that gives us a bird's eye view on what's happening inside of the body. When a young girl named Riley moves away from her hometown, she has a hard time getting accustomed to her new life. As Riley enters her teenage years, her emotions start to get out of whack, causing Joy to leave the building. Inside Out is an Oscar-winning movie that teaches children about their emotions. Much like the Disney classics that came before it, Inside Out is no stranger when it comes to Easter eggs. However, some of them are so subtle that they might as well not exist.
Yo eché un pero por eso.
Animation for the Birds that Disney released in the year of 2000? Well, if you do, you might be one of the few people who were able to spot out this cameo. Disney animators didn't waste any time placing Easter eggs in Inside Out's basket, which is why these birds are showcased right off the bat. While Riley and her parents are driving to San Francisco, the flock of birds from the short animation can be spotted hanging out on a telephone wire. If this is your first time noticing them, make sure to leave a bird emoji in the comments below. Monsters Inc. and the Woody Stickers. Monsters Inc. is a Disney film that has no shortage of Toy Story references. In fact, there's so many of them present that it's hard not to notice them. So knowing this, we're going to show you an Easter egg that few fans stumble upon due to how quickly it flashes across the screen. In Monsters Inc., we see thousands of doors being prepped for transportation. Problem is, they don't stick around for very long, which is what makes spotting this reference so challenging. Chances are, if you pause the movie whenever a door is flying by, you'll see that they're decorated with a variety of stickers. And, believe it or not, that these stickers belong to the Toy Story franchise. In fact, they're from the TV show Woody's Roundup, which is where everyone's favorite cowboy originates from. The Monsters Inc. franchise goes hand in hand with the Toy Story movies, since they both deal with young children. And since Mike and Sully are constantly barging into the kids' rooms, it's only normal for tons of toys to line the floor.
You could use the exercise.
I could use the exercise. Look at you. You have your own climate.
The Good Dinosaur meets Hank. Hank is an adorable Disney character who never hesitates to help out a friend. And much like Randall Boggs from Monsters Inc., he has the ability to camouflage himself. In fact, Hank is said to appear in every single Disney movie ever created. And while this sounds a little extreme, it reminds us to always keep an eye out for Hank, the seven-armed octopus. The Good Dinosaur is no exception to this rule, which is why you can expect to see Hank lurking in the background at some point or another. But spotting him out won't be easy, so get ready to press that pause button at a moment's notice. Remember when Arlo gets spooked and falls into the water? Well, Hank makes a quick cameo during this frightful scene. His big eyes can be spotted at the bottom left corner of the screen, but recognizing him won't be easy since he's perfectly camouflaged into the rocks. For this reason, it's pretty much impossible to spot Hank out without some help. But if you guys are interested in seeing every single one of Hank's cameos, let us know in the comments section below.
Yeah.
Finding Dory or Finding Darla. As promised, we're circling back to unravel one of the most puzzling Finding Dory Easter eggs of all time. But it just might scare the bejesus out of you. It's no secret that Darla is one of the most terrifying characters in the Finding Nemo franchise. In fact, one look at her curled lips and brace-infested smile can give you nightmares for life. But the real reason that Darla is such a hated character has everything to do with her strange desire to harm fish and animals alike. Do you remember the scene where Hank and Dory meet for the first time? If so, you probably recall how Hank was flawlessly camouflaged into a cat poster. Well, take a look on the right-hand side of the poster, but try not to scream. Hung on the wall is the classic Darla picture that we've all come to fear. So what's her picture doing in the basement of an aquarium? Well, our best guess is that Darla's mom or dad works with sick ocean life, which could explain her strange fascination with fish. The Incredibles, no capes allowed. If there's one thing that Edna Mode has always stressed, it's that her superheroes are not allowed to wear capes. At first, many of us couldn't help but find this rule a little strange, especially since most heroes enjoy having capes attached to their costumes. Edna goes through the trouble of naming some of the heroes who passed away due to getting betrayed by their billowing capes, but we never once thought that Mr. and Mrs. Incredible were best friends with these people. However, during a flashback of the couple's wedding day, we clearly see a crowd of superheroes clapping in the background, and 3 of them are the cape-wearing heroes, who Edna later mentions. This is a sad Easter egg if we've ever seen one, but at least we know the real reason why Edna has a deep hatred for capes. Before you go, make sure to let us know which paused moment surprised you the most in the comments below. And that's the end of our video. Don't forget to subscribe to The Things for more great content.